Welcome to Afghanews with Mohsen Jamal. The United States must keep fighting the Taliban or risk more attacks like those of September 11, 2001 because the insurgent group is a ruthless enemy that has not cut ties to Al-Qaeda, the U.S. ambassador to Kabul has said. Ryan Crocker, a career diplomat who was also ambassador in Iraq, warned the United States would have to spend billions more in the coming years to bolster Afghanistan's government and security forces as its own troops prepare to return home. Crocker said there was a risk an early withdrawal from the country would keep the Taliban and its Al-Qaeda ally powerful enough to mount large-scale attacks. The ambassador spoke of his personal experience of the day that is widely believed to have significantly changed the course of history, while describing building a stable Afghanistan as the ultimate guarantee that there will not be another 9/11. After nearly a decade of fighting in Afghanistan, the Taliban have greater reach than any time since they were ousted from power, and civilian casualties are at the highest since 2001. Norway is blocking payments of $55.2 million in aid to Afghanistan until issues surrounding the collapse of the country's biggest private lender, Kabul Bank, are resolved, a Norwegian newspaper said on Tuesday. Kabul Bank collapsed last year with outstanding loans of about $926 million and was later taken over by Afghanistan's central bank and split into two. The International Monetary Fund and the Afghan government are at loggerheads over how to wind up the bank, recover lost assets and strengthen the sector. The impasse has delayed tens of millions of dollars in aid. In an interview with Norwegian daily Jens Rings Liv, Deputy Foreign Minister Espen Barth Eide, said the Afghan authorities' failure to provide good governance was one of the biggest problems for Norway in Afghanistan. The International Monetary Fund has withheld a scheduled payment of $770 million from the World Bank-administered Afghan Reconstruction Trust Fund. Afghanistan relies on foreign aid for around 90% of its spending, but many international donors say they are reluctant to channel aid through the country's ministries because of a lack of capacity and corruption. A suicide attack hit Herat province on Tuesday, leaving the attacker dead and injured two civilians, an official said. Mahiyuddin Nouri, a spokesman for provincial administration, said that a suicide bomber riding an explosive-laden car blew himself up next to a convoy of police Tuesday morning, leaving himself dead and injuring two civilians. 4 young trainers of police were in the convoy, he further said. Earlier, Abdul Rauf Ahmadi, police spokesman in Western region, said that the bomber blew himself up next to a convoy of NATO-led troops in Ahmedabad area outside provincial capital the Herat city, leaving himself dead. There were no casualties on military, Ahmadi emphasized. Meanwhile, a U.S. civilian engineer who worked on a military base in Kabul was found dead in the Afghan capital Kabul after going missing, an Afghan intelligence source said on Tuesday, adding that the man appeared to have been murdered. Afghan police are mounting a ground operation to retrieve bodies of two Germans found shot to death on a remote mountain after they disappeared while hiking nearly 3 weeks ago. Authorities have requested helicopters from the International Alliance, but NATO and Afghan officials said Tuesday the altitude in the Hindu Kush mountains makes helicopter retrieval too difficult. Parwan province's police chief General Sher Ahmad Maladani says the police will have to carry the bodies down from the mountainside where they were found Monday. Majid Qarar, Agriculture Ministry spokesman, says the two Germans were for GIZ, a German development and assistance organization, adding that they were advisors to the ministry and regularly went hiking. No group has so far claimed responsibility for the incident. A senior Al-Qaeda leader believed to have been responsible for planning attacks on the United States, Europe, and Australia has been arrested in southwest Pakistan, according to the Pakistan Army. Yunus al-Mauritani was detained on Monday in the suburbs of the southwestern city of Quetta, along with two other high-ranking Al-Qaeda operatives, the military said in a statement. Cooperation between the CIA and Pakistan's intelligence agency ISI led to their arrest by the paramilitary, it said, without saying when al-Mauritani was detained. The army army named the two other senior operatives who had been arrested as Abdul Ghaffar al-Shami and Mesara al-Shami. Western intelligence officials from two separate countries confirmed al-Muratani was part of al-Qaeda's high-level team in Pakistan and linked to threats against Europe. However, al-Muratani is not listed on either the FBI's most wanted list or the U.S. Treasury Department's list of global terrorists. Newly retired U.S. General David Petraeus is expected to be sworn in on Tuesday as the 20th Director of the Central Intelligence Agency. The oath of office was to be administered in a private ceremony. During the later part of his career, General Petraeus, who retired last week after 37 years in the Army, helped guide military strategy and police policy in Iraq and Afghanistan. Petraeus replaces the former CIA Director Leon Panetta, who became U.S. Defense Secretary. Petraeus takes the job as the relations between the U.S. and its ally in the region, Pakistan, has severed over the CIA-controlled drone strikes in the tribal areas of Pakistan. French and Niger military sources have been quoted as saying that a large convoy of Libyan armored vehicles escorted by the Nigerian military crossed into the northern Niger desert town of Agadez on Monday. The convoy contained between 200 to 250 military vehicles and included officers from Libya's Southern Army battalions and likely crossed from Libya into Algeria before entering Niger, the sources said. The French military source said he had been told Muammar Gaddafi and his son Saif al-Islam might be considering joining the convoy en route to Burkina Faso, a landlocked West African state which has offered Gaddafi and his family asylum and has a border with Niger. The head of Gaddafi's security brigades, Mansour Daoud, along with more than 10 other Libyans, crossed into Niger on Sunday, two Niger officials said earlier on Monday. The International Committee of the Red Cross has said it has been granted access for the first time to a Syrian detention center. The ICRC has described the decision as aimed at ensuring that detainees are treated humanly and that their dignity is respected and preserved in Syria, thousands of whom have been arrested during the country's 6-month-old protest movement. Jacob Kellenberger, the ICRC president, following talks with the Syrian President Bashar al-Assad on Monday, said in a statement that the ICRC was able to visit the Damascus Central Prison in the suburb of Adran Sunday. During meetings with al-Assad, Kellenberger said he discussed the use of force by security forces and the need to respect the physical and psychological well-being of the detainees, as well as the latest developments in the country since his last visit in June. More than 2,200 people have been killed in Syria since almost daily mass protests began on March 15th, according to the United Nations, and activists say over 10,000 have been arrested. In that a roaring wildfire has raged through rainstorm and rangeland in Texas, destroying nearly 500 homes during a rapid advance fanned in part by howling winds from the remnants of Tropical Storm Lee. A 20-year-old woman and her 18-month-old daughter died when the fast-moving wildfire gutted their mobile home in Gladwater in the northeast of the U.S. state. At least 5,000 people were evacuated on Monday from their homes in Bastrop County, east of Austin, home to about 6,000 people, many of them fearing the worst while spending the night in emergency shelters. The blast consumed as much as 10,117 hectares along a line that stretched for about 26 kilometers, Texas Forest Service officials said. Authorities mobilized ground and air force to fight the largest of at least 63 fires that broke out in Texas since Sunday, as high winds from what was then Tropical Storm Lee swept into Texas, which has endured its worst drought since the 1950s. And that's all for now. Thanks for staying with us.